I'm pulling back the curtain and giving you the inside info you need to pass your WWE tryout. Ready? I'm Mike Quackenbush, and this is Till We Make It. Throughout my career, I've been very fortunate because I have worked in front of the cameras as a professional wrestler, referee, ring announcer, and commentator too. And I've also worked behind the scenes in wrestling as a promoter, booker, agent, coach, and consultant. And I bring the sum of all these experiences right here to Till We Make It. If you're not yet a member of the Till We Make It tribe, subscribe down below. Make sure to ring the notification bell while you're at it. Today, I want to share with you 6 essential bits of information you've got to wrap your head around if you want to pass your WWE tryout. And throughout this, we're also going to talk about the revised hiring guidelines for WWE so you have realistic expectations about that whole process. Okay, the first thing I want to cover with you is the one people aren't talking about enough. It's this. Remember, you are always performing. From the moment the bus comes to pick you up at the hotel to shuttle you to the performance center until you are safely back at the hotel locked in your room, you are performing. Cameras and eyeballs are on you constantly. And what are you going to be performing? The role of an ideal employee. You are going to have a constant smile on your face. You will be an absolute pleasure to be around. You're going to exude the maximum amount of magnetism and charisma that you can muster for the entirety of the tryout experience. And especially if your tryout does happen in the Performance Center down in Orlando, remember, there are live streaming cameras all over that facility. So you might think you're all right to start grumbling and complaining and putting a big sour expression on your face about how hard all the exercises and drills might be, but somebody is going to see it. So remember this about the totality of your tryout experience: you are performing. For years now, part of the WWE's tryout process has been seeing if you will crack under different types of physical pressure. Do you crack under the pressure of their weight room? Do you crack under the pressure of the warm-ups and drills that they're going to do in the Performance Center, maybe up in the ring, but also down on the floor? And if you want to pass your WWE tryout, remember, you are performing. You're going to have that big smile locked on your face the entire time, like doing this is the best experience of your entire life. And when you finish your 100 push-ups or whatever ahead of someone else in the group, you're going to be a big sunbeam of encouragement for those people who are struggling with the exercise. That is the kind of team player that WWE values. And if you want to set yourself apart from the rest of the pack, those are the kinds of qualities that you must exude. Take it to heart. If you want to pass your tryout, remember, you are performing the entire time, no matter what physical stresses you are under. If you're getting something out of today's video, this is a fine time to go ahead, look for that thumbs up, and leave a like-a-palooza. It signals to YouTube they should share this video with more people. I'd appreciate it. Thanks. Okay, this second tidbit is a bit of veteran wisdom from your old pal Mike right to you. If you want to pass your WWE tryout, you must show up in better cosmetic condition than you appear to be in the photos you submitted during the application process. And if you're hearing that and you're thinking, Mike, why do I need to do that? Here's why. Because if you show up at the exact same level, or worse, you have regressed in your conditioning, the coaches are going to interpret that as you slacking. And each coach and judge at that tryout will have a binder with everything you submitted during your application process right there at their fingertips. They will have those photos to compare you to as they're watching you try out. And more than once, I've heard a coach make a remark that is roughly this idea, that it is an insult to World Wrestling Entertainment that he or she turned up for this tryout not in the best shape of their life. So when you actually get to that tryout, you need to be in better shape. You need to be perfectly groomed, and you need to be well tanned, and you need to be a little more ripped than you were in those photos you sent along 6, 9, 12 months ago when you were applying. And if not, the odds of you passing that WWE tryout, the odds of you being one of the few people called back for further consideration is greatly reduced, especially when you consider the revised hiring guidelines ever since NXT, the WWE's developmental league, was rebranded. There is a greater priority in that cosmetic or TV shape than ever before. This third one probably won't shock you. You need to train yourself up into top cardiovascular condition before your tryout. So yes, a moment ago I talked about showing up in cosmetic shape, having a telegenic appearance, but that is different from actually being in great cardiovascular condition. You need to be able to do, at a minimum, 100 push-ups and then pop right up with a smile on your face, fresh as a daisy, looking like you can't wait to do more. You're going to have to be able to do a minimum of 100 deep squats, 100 sit-ups, and not look like you're about to keel over from exhaustion. Consider for a moment the kinds of people the WWE loves to invite to their tryout camps. You're going to be up against pro athletes and Olympic hopefuls at your tryout. So going to the gym twice a week and doing 15 minutes on the easiest setting on the elliptical rider is probably not going to transform you into a cardio monster, but you're going to need to be to stand out amidst that field at your tryout camp. Exercises like push-ups, squats, and sit-ups, these are no-brainers. You have to train for these. But might you also do a med ball toss? That's possible. Could you end up pushing a sled? Yes, that's something you could be asked to do, and other drills as well. And I can't possibly show you all of that content here without the WWE's Copyright Office coming knocking. However, I can tell you this. They've produced tons of beautiful footage that gives you a very realistic look into their process, and it's on their network right now. Search up Season 6 of Tough Enough and then watch all the footage from the WWE's PC Combine 2019. If you look at those two sources, you're going to have a plethora of information at your disposal about the exact types of things you should be training for in the gym, a minimum of 3 months before you go to the tryout itself. If you want to pass your WWE tryout, you need to have realistic expectations, especially in light of their new hiring requirements. So just as an example, if you are already over the age of 26, I think even someone that is calling in a personal favor to the office on your behalf is unlikely to be able to get you a serious look at the tryout. And you know, they want guys who are north of 6'1" in height. So take it from your old pal Mike. If you aren't, you're going to make sure you have custom shoes or boots on that make you taller than 6'1" for the entirety of the tryout experience, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. Up fifth is the ultimate X factor in this whole equation. If you want to pass your WWE tryout, you must evince coachability while you are there. Do you know what I mean by this? Coachability means that you can hear instruction or feedback from a coach, internalize it, and then immediately apply it. So just as an example, if you're doing push-ups on the floor of the performance center and the coach shouts that they want to see your whole face on the next rep, that means you're going to pick your chin all the way up and make sure every coach in there can see your whole face. Not see half your face because you're too tired to pick your chin all the way up, and not 3 reps down the line on the next rep. You have to hear what they're asking for, internalize it, and apply it immediately. And late in the process of trying out, when the cardiovascular conditioning has already killed off half the field of people competing for the same contract that you are because they couldn't finish the push-ups, they couldn't finish the squats, they couldn't finish the corner drills in the ring, it is coachability which sets the elite prospects apart from the people who are never being called back. The last thing I want to share with you today about the WWE's tryout process is this. The actual amount of wrestling you're going to be expected to do during the entire weekend is minimal. And if you indicated during your application process that you have no prior wrestling experience, they won't even expect you to take part in that little bit of the tryout. Because, especially since hiring guidelines have been revised, prior wrestling experience and knowledge is now irrelevant to the WWE's tryout process. So, here's a little bit of real talk. If you want to pass your WWE tryout, take all the hours you spend every week watching wrestling, studying wrestling, talking about wrestling, scrolling through wrestling stuff on social media, and dedicate all of that time instead to being in the gym, getting yourself in the best cosmetic and cardiovascular shape of your entire life. Because that is what's going to get you through the ranks at your WWE tryout. At no point are they ever going to stop the tryout and ask, who here can name Becky Lynch's finishing move? Or who here can recognize WWE entrance themes in the first 3 seconds of them being played? That's never going to come up. You know what is? Whether or not they want to cast you in their TV show. And for you to get cast on one of their shows, you gotta show up in TV shape and being able to perform even while under great physical stress. Even when other people don't have the cardiovascular conditioning to continue on, let alone do it with a smile on their face, you want to stand out from the rest of the pack. That's just the reality of making it through a WWE tryout now. Your wrestling experience is of no value. It's of no use to you in this process. And just think about it from their perspective. They have a world-class training facility in Orlando in their performance center, and they have most of the best coaches available there. They can teach anyone how to be a professional wrestler, and they've got the track record to prove it. They don't need to go out and hire wrestlers. They need to cast people for their TV show, people that have the right look, and then they'll train them how to wrestle later. A WWE tryout camp is 2 or 3 days designed to exhaust you in every way imaginable. And if you want to be the last one standing, if you want to be the one person that gets offered a contract from that field of contenders, take everything I have just told you in this video and treat it like gold. Treat it like the gospel you are going to live by and get in the gym. And good luck. If you're about to start the application process for a WWE tryout and you've not yet watched this video, you should. I talk about an experience I had while coaching for the WWE in this video. You might dig it. And if you need more of my insight and guidance, look below in the descriptus. There is a link which will lead you to my Patreon. You can join our community there or book me for a one-on-one session through Wizio.